Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Good morning. Spring is finally here, and so is another informative episode of CWSA, the show. And this is just one of those broadcasts that really works to constantly remind everyone about their role in protecting children, and also teaching children how to protect themselves and making sure that that information is readily available everywhere in the country. My name is Vue Kilwana, and joined today in studio by the Acting National Executive Officer, Dr. Benny Obai. It's always amazing having you on the show.
Thank you.
And it's been so long.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what we're going to talk about today is it's sort of twofold. We're going to be speaking about the month of August and how August worked out for Child Welfare South Africa. And then we're also going to be talking about the future plans. The year is about to end, so it's very exciting to really find out where, child welfare will be going. In fact, let's go straight into it, Doctor. August was a beautiful month for, I think, CWSA. A beautiful, great hashtag campaign, which is called Be Bold and Tell Your Story, was launched, and I really enjoyed it. I really loved the stories when I saw them. What are the takeaways?
Yeah, the month of August was a big month for us. We launched a big campaign, Be Bold, Tell Your Story. And the month of August, the one for the month of August, we focused on the young girls. We focused on the girl child. And the emphasis was to inspire the next generation of successful women. And we had a lot of great responses that came from that. We had a lot of people that uploaded their stories.
Wow.
And a lot of people that told their stories, and we also had a lot of people that responded positively to that. We got invites from agencies that asked us to come and speak a little bit more about the campaign.
Yes.
And how they can partner with us and how they can be part of the process. Coming out of that, actually, one of the organizations is looking at us developing a program for the girl child so that we can roll out nationally with them. So it was a good thing coming from the campaign. We're still going to have probably a part 2 of it sometime in the year, focusing on the boy child.
Yes.
But right now we are just putting the stories together that came from the Be Bold, Tell Your Story campaign, and we're still compiling them. And as we mentioned earlier, we're going to have some things published as a result. So we're looking at publishing a book or magazine or something that people can take out of the campaign.
Thinking about next year now, I'm just going to go a little bit further and say, what are the things that you think you'll change next year for the Be Bold change and tell you? I'm sure it's going to be an annual thing.
Yes, it's going to be an annual thing. But obviously, like next year, we're still going to make it bigger. We're going to get more people involved and more companies, create a lot of awareness. We're going to start earlier, and we're just going to go bigger next year, and we'll probably have a lot of young girls that probably benefited from this year tell their stories next year.
Definitely. What was the common thread that you found, though, in terms of the stories being told? What do you think is the biggest issue right now? And not only just looking at violence, just in terms of, like you said, there's a lot of internal reflection that you found in the stories. What is the commonalities that you picked up and you hope that can be changed?
The biggest thing for us was that the whole campaign inspired a lot of people to open up and start telling their stories.
Okay.
A lot of people felt that they didn't have a platform or an opportunity to speak out. But what we found out from the stories and the response and the feedback we got was that when people heard other people talk about their challenges and their struggles, they encouraged them to do something, to speak out about their own struggles, about their own challenges. And one thing that stood out to us was that the struggles varied. In the past, people narrowed it to just issues of violence, but the struggles are. There's a lot of issues that people deal with.
Yes.
In discussing the issues, somebody actually, one of the forum, someone actually asked, why should women issues be limited to just women alone?
Yes.
That the daily struggles of women. So why should it be that when you talk of the challenges of women, when you talk of women in the workplace, women raising children, or women and fashion, or women in their sizes, why should it only be confined to women's corner alone? Why can't it be part of a bigger discourse?
Definitely.
Why should it be that when someone brings up the issue of sanitary pad for young girls, everyone goes like, well, women just talk, talk about it, we can't discuss it in the open. So why should women's issues be discussed alone by women in the corner, and not everyone getting involved and discussing it? And most of the issues impact not just on women but on the bigger society.
Yes.
And coming out of that, we are actually looking at a workshop in the month of October.
Okay.
And we are going to look at how crime impacts on women. So we're narrowing it, down to like different things that impact on women. And sometimes people don't see the relationship. People don't see the relationship between a woman that has been hijacked and how that impacts on how the woman is going to raise a child, how the woman is going to the idea, or the view she's going to form concerning how she then relates with men, or with the boy child or the girl child, or any other crime for that matter. It could be cyber crime. It could be anything. It not necessarily only limited to violent crimes, but any crime that impacts on women, and how it impacts
changes
on their everyday life, the economy, their work life, their family life, the way they view society. So is the kind of thing we're looking at in October.
That's amazing. Is it also going to be talking to how men relate to crime?
Yeah, we're looking at women because 9 out of 10 women are usually they're the soft targets. So
that's true.
But although men are going to be involved, but the whole idea is when you have who are criminals, more likely, who do they consider as
Victims,
vulnerable,
yes.
or victims, and why, and what should women do? How should they respond? How should they approach the issues? Because it ranges from all sorts of crimes.
Yes.
Most times, you find out that a lot of women fall prey to cybercrime. A lot of women fall prey to different things that happen out there: hijacking, molestation, fraud, abuse, and things like that. So, and we just want to unpack it to ask, why is it so, and what should women do? One thing we're trying to also do is it's women, and it involves men, but we don't want it to be a case of having an attack on men, but just understanding the whole dynamics, of crime, and understanding why it happens, so that everyone would have a better understanding of how to protect themselves and how not to become vulnerable or easy prey or target.
I love it. Next, we're going to be talking about the month of September and going forward for CWSA. But before that, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be back.
brandlive.co.za.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.
You're back on CWSA and with myself, Vue Cholwana, and the Acting National Executive Director rather of CWSA, Dr. Benny Obayi. Before we went on a break, we spoke a little bit about upcoming projects, which I think was going to be so interesting, women and how they're impacted by crime. But before we actually get into the nitty-gritty of that, we're still going to have a little bit of an unpacking session of what happened in August and why it was so important that, we had the programs that we had as Child Welfare South Africa. So, Doctor, what else can we really take away from the month of August and all the strides that CWSA had in place?
Okay. The month of August was also a good month for Child Welfare South Africa.
Yes.
The month we were able to engage with different partners and formed new relationships. Would also like to use this opportunity because the Sibaya Trust
Yes.
reached out to child welfare in the month of August and made a donation of R1 million to Child Welfare South Africa,
Wow.
just to support the
That
work
is
that
amazing.
Child Welfare is doing. And we also had another organization that reached out to Child Welfare South Africa, CI, the company. They also reached out and made a donation, and a couple of other individuals that reached out to Child Welfare. And we believe is as a result of people appreciating the kind of work that Child Welfare is doing, and also seeing Child Welfare as a partner, because we are not just looking for people that donate, but people that will partner with Child Welfare to do the work
so that is sustainable.
Child Welfare is doing.
Yes.
And also looking at how to bring sustainable change in the society. So that's why we appreciate such partnerships. And speaking of on that, we're also partnering with the Sibaya Trust, planning a gala event that would most likely be towards the end of October or November. And it's actually going to be huge because we're going to have the Minister of Finance there as a guest speaker, and a lot of other celebrities. So we are really glad, we have such an opportunity, and it's something that is going to help Child Welfare showcase what we are doing on a bigger scale.
That is amazing. I'm so excited for the gala event. Hopefully I'm invited.
Yeah.
But more than that, it's amazing. I think partnerships are the only way to make sure that, NGOs such as yourselves thrive and make sure that, they carry on. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get more into that relationship with Sibaya Gold. But before we run out of time, we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the future for CWSA. October is also going to be quite a big month. I'm so excited. What else can we expect leading up to December?
Yes, we're going to be having the meeting, the conference. It's a conference that I spoke about in October. That's the one we're going to have in Gauteng, but we are planning to take it national. So we are looking at spreading it out between November and December, to have one in the Western Cape and another one in KZN.
Wow.
Just having the opportunity to engage on the issues that affect women and children, and we are narrowing it down to issues of violence against women, crime, sexual exploitation of children. We just want to project it more, because when issues of crime are discussed, a lot of people often don't look at some people call it soft crime. Some people, whether we call it soft or hard crime, but it's all crime.
Is crime.
A lot of people don't consider things such as fraud, such as cybercrime, such as trafficking, and related crimes, and they have great and huge impact on the family, on women, on children. But they are usually kept behind when we discuss about crime. We usually put things like breaking, burglary, and robbery ahead of this other crime. But crime is crime.
Yes. And crime will affect people in the same way. I love that you guys are doing that, because I think a lot of the time we are desensitized as women to actually realize that something bad has happened to you, because there's so much crime happening every single day that you don't ever have the chance to discuss what that impact was on you. You just see it sort of play out with your kids and in your family. So I really like that you guys are doing that.
Yeah. Some studies have actually found that what people don't realize is that in some cases, it numbs the feeling. So if someone has become a victim of, say, something like a cybercrime, people don't realize that there's something that dies in the person. It numbs the feeling, and then the person wouldn't relate with the outside world in a normal way.
Exactly.
Things like when people give up their children, to be trafficked, something dies in them, but people don't realize that. So they think it's
normal.
It's normal. And over time, the society starts normalizing things that shouldn't be. And so that's why it's always important to start discussing about such things early enough, to start looking at why do we have this problem, and what can we do to stop them. And a lot of times it also creates an imaginary ceiling, because people become scared of things they don't know. So people can aspire for certain things. So there's just that innate fear. So when you ask a woman, do you think you can become a president? Automatically the fear of, well, I don't know, because this happens to this kind of people. So it's a way of breaking those barriers, not just by talking about them, but looking realistically. How are the things that happen, social issues, crime issues, how do they become a barrier to people achieving what they hope to achieve in life?
Definitely, and that'll always trickle down to the children.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you guys work with, and what you want to make sure that they benefit, and they don't suffer from our issues. But that ends up our show for the day. CWSA Today is every single Monday from 11 to 11:30. You don't want to miss it. Please make sure that you join us again next week, same time, same place. CWSA Today.
brandlive.co.za. Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za. Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat.